Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday. Yesterday, pretty quiet day. We had the Veterans Day. So while the actual markets were open, which I didn't think they would be, very quiet. We had a morning push in the forex markets and a little bit in the NASDAQ and stock markets, but overall it was just a bunch of chop, which is what I expected, which is why I didn't bother trying to trade yesterday. I'm really learning that. Yeah, okay, so here is the way to look at it. On the slow days, range trading is the way, right? You just look for price to kind of bounce back and forth and you buy the tops and the bottoms of that range. But there's just no volatility, so there's not a lot of action. Your time is better spent doing something else, in my opinion, whether it's, spending time with family or what have you. And of course, if you're like somebody who has a job and you don't trade during the daytime anyway, maybe you're like a swing trader, then it's not going to matter to you either way. But just not a lot going on a day like that. So took the day off, didn't really take the day off. I worked all day on other stuff. However, NASDAQ is holding for now. So there's a lot of talk about the AI bubble. Is it going to pop? And I think it will eventually. The way things break in the current economy is not the way that you might think, right? So that being said, this is the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is comprised mostly of tech companies. Tech companies are, of course, AI bubble material, right? So, if we do have an AI problem, if you have companies like, NVIDIA or whatever, and it just turns out that they need money or, they're falling apart or their product is bunk or it's all been fake anyway, then yeah, you're going to see a problem with the NASDAQ. Now, there have been some articles coming out where, what's his name? Sam Altman is like, okay, well, we don't need a bailout, but we need a backstop. Like, okay, you need money. There was an article in Zero Hedge that came out saying that Oracle would run out of money by 2026. Let's see if we can find it. Let's just take a brief look at that article. If this is some important stuff here, and here it is. We don't have it's on premium. I don't have my login for that. But Oracle would run out of cash by November 2026 quarters. That's like a year from now, implying substantial funding needs. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they just spun up billions and billions of dollars for Oracle. But this has to do with their debt. So essentially, their debt is looking kind of ugly. Basically the headline here: Oracle is first AI domino to fall after Barclays downgrades its debt to sell. So basically, they've borrowed a bunch of money to spin up a bunch of money. And when you borrow a bunch of money, then you've issued a bunch of debt, and therefore your debt is going to be less valuable because there's a whole bunch more of it out there. And they spun up, I want to say, $500 billion really out of nothing, out of contracts that haven't even been fulfilled for ships that haven't even been made. So a lot of people are seeing this and getting concerned. Look, I'm going to say one thing, and again, I keep forgetting who says it. It might have been Milton Friedman. Via the Gorilla was able to remind me of who it was. But the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? And that's the reality of it. So the NASDAQ itself, from an algorithmic standpoint, it's still bullish. It's getting more weekly bullish, WEAK. That doesn't mean they cannot continue to push it up. And I can tell you right now, if in fact national security or, something that has to do with like keeping the nation solvent means that they've got to push it up, they will. And don't think they don't have the debt and the capability to create debt to do it. And I say I mean the big they, right? This is not going to fall until they want it to fall, or until they whatever it might be. It might be that they're ready for it to fall. It might be that they've exited their position. It might be that they got their shorts on. Koob is noticing that we have video in cell phone mode. It's actually in both. I've got it in both. I see what you're saying. I think I know what the problem is. Okay, let's back this up. Koob is saying video and cell phone mode. Koob, are you looking on YouTube or are you looking in the private chat? Because in the private, it's not. It's in landscape. I have this going in the new MARS, multiple aspect ratio. So it's both in 6:9. What is it? It's both in 9:16 and 16:9. I've got it in both modes. So you should be able to kind of, dealer's choice on that one. Yeah, just a moment. Yeah, so that is kind of a cool thing where YouTube does allow for you to make a choice on that. And it's like one link for one link. Yeah. So Koob, if you look on the YouTube channel, you'll notice that there actually is a video for one and for the other. You can have landscape or you can have, portrait, either way. So and I can see just based on the comment section, you are in the cell phone version of the video. So if you go back to the YouTube page, or just go to you could just go to I appreciate you being on YouTube, helping the numbers. But you go back to the main YouTube page and you'll see the link to go into landscape. I'll see if I can copy it and send it over to you. Give me just a moment here. Algo Factory. And yeah, there's the cell phone version. I'm testing that out just to see how that works. So here, if you look in the private chat, you'll see I got Timothy in there. Rabble rousing. I love it. Koob, look in the private chat. You'll see the landscape version. And I just wanted to test this out to see how it did for views, but I may end up just going with landscape from here on out. So, but give us a comment in the comment section whether you like having the cell phone version available or if you prefer to have, both. Like, do you want the cell phone or do you just want landscape? Go ahead and give us comments on that. And I may just keep it at landscape. Everybody's so used to that. So just kind of like keep it there. All right. So let's move on back into the charts. So yeah, I mean, at the moment, the volatility is really low right now, and low volatility and quite frankly, low volume on these indices can mean a couple of things. It could mean that they're like everybody's out of gas and it's just going to like die. Or it can mean that everybody's out of gas. Like if the bulls are out of gas, it can mean that it could be pushed down, right? All the people pushing price up are tired, and there are people waiting to push it down. It doesn't mean they want to push it down. It just means they're ready to sell. Or it could also be they want to, depending on who you're talking about. Or it could be that the bears are out of gas, and then the bulls are ready to push it up. Right? It could be a lot of things. Just because things slow down doesn't mean it's going to go one way or the other. But there's a lot of talk out there of, it's AI bubble's going to pop. And I mean, that's like all the headlines right now. You got Michael Burry and you got this and that and the other. That kind of tells me it's probably going to go up. I'm a contrarian by nature, as are all of my good friends. At least my market and trading friends are contrarians by nature. And when I see all the major headlines talking about the market crashing, I'm like, oh, okay, it's probably going to go up. I just want to scare everybody out. It's most likely what's going on. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the NASDAQ might do if it does go up or if it goes down, right? And then we'll maybe take a look at Bitcoin and go strictly into the private live lab. Targets for the upside on NASDAQ are 27,780, right? So, I'm not saying it would go straight up like this, but historically, this is what tends to happen. There's a lot of analysts that, have proven their worth over the years, saying that the Christmas rally is on, the wobble is over, blah, blah, blah. And those are not the more popular opinions, but they have a lot of data to back themselves. So we might see something like this. Let me make this a little bit more visible. The alternative would be, there are many alternatives, but typically if you are going to see a swing failure, it's going to happen in one of two ways. Typically, you're going to see price try to let me zoom in a little bit, guys and gals. You'll see price try to recapture 26.4 and then just not make it up there or even touch it and then, head down. And then you might get an extended move down for a while, right? The other case scenario might be that price overextends to the top, traps some of the bulls, and then really nukes down. Typically, if there is an overextension, which can be identified by what we call a divergence in some of the indicators, then we could expect price to head back down. I don't know. I don't see price going below 24,700 unless there really is a true retracement. If there's a real, like, this company has that problem, that company has this problem, and all of a sudden funding is a problem, and whatever, right? It might be another thing. It might be war. It might be all the major things that could cause markets to fall. With the current metrics, I don't expect it. But if we do get a move down, such as I've drawn on the screen, at that time I will reassess. Right. And I'll see what the data says, and I'll look around and at that time. But at the moment, those are the two bearish scenarios. And then, of course, like I drew before, the more bullish scenario, highest target's 27,780 and the lower target's 26, basically 950. So almost 27. So 26,950. Let's take a look at Bitcoin before we move on to the private live lab. I know I started a little bit late today, had a kind of a technical issue. Bitcoin seems to be finding support. It wants to be bullish right now, but it might only be bullish for like a few days. But there are some metrics I'm looking at that indicate we could see at least a range being built, and possibly it could be like weeks. There's talk that there was an attack on Bitcoin via the bond market, and just that's a lot of kind of conspiracy talk that's not really useful here, except to say that this move down may have been an attack, right? So, and this has to do with geopolitics and the fact that the US really is going to rely on crypto as an asset class from which they'll create collateral and continue to play the debt game. But we may see a range build in the like 98 to 108 area. That's one possible range. Another possible range may end up being a little lower than that. If price does get pushed down further, you have a couple of options there. One of them I've already mapped out, between 75 and 88. I don't think price would go as low as 75 and stay there. I think price may end up, if it does drop that low, I think it would pop back up and still range either. There is a possible range of like, say, 88,000 to like 98 or anywhere in there. That's a decent place for price to range if it cannot stay above 100,000. But right now, at least based on what I'm seeing right now, it's a very likely range to start between about 98,000-ish and 108,000. And it could be like 98 and 103, or it could be, something along those lines, right? Just anywhere in this area, I'm expecting price to stop falling in range. But again, and the yellow lines you see are the local liquidity as of a couple hours ago. Price probably will want to go to one of those. It's very close to this 102 area. However, if things get very bullish, it may want to go up to 110. But then again, that might not be there by the time the price gets to that area, because these liquidations have to do with people trading, and they take the trades off and take profit or add to it, whatever the case might be. So I do expect, though, at the moment for price simply to not go below 99. It may. And if it does, I'll reassess. But at the moment, it looks like we're losing volatility, and price may not have the juice to break above 108 or below 99. And if it does, we'll reassess. And that's how trading is. In trading, we just have a thesis and we play along with that thesis. I don't trade based on this kind of information. I use metrics. I use the stuff at the bottom of the screen. I have algorithms that show me on the short term what I will do to extract money from the market. So if Bitcoin goes up to 160 or down to 75, none of that really matters to me. What matters to me is I zoom in and I find opportunities to take money out of the market, whether it is short, whether it is long, whether it is up, whether it is down. I know a lot of people want an idea of what's going to happen next because they're not really trading. They're just kind of watching price and hoping. So of course, that is what I'm giving you right now, but I don't make money with this kind of information. I just provide you a service. Via the Grill, how you doing, sir?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing good. We're about to hop off to the private live lab, and you're just in time for it. Can you get us over there?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, guys, don't wonder if this is for you. Don't think, hey, you know what? I'm just a victim of my own circumstances. Well, you don't have to do that anymore. You can be a part of the most prolific trading community on God's green earth. Not only learn how to trade, but learn how to build the algorithms that trade on your behalf 24 hours a day, 7 days a week algofactory.tech. Learn to trade like a hedge fund pro. Join us.
Join us or die.
Just kidding. You're not going to die.
You might.
Not yet, anyway. Love you all.